Right, good morning, fresh members and guests. What an absolute privilege, what an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Let's jump straight into this. What do you consider to be the most important aspect in business? Is it products? Is it services? Or is it financials? Now, the truth is, if we get right to the core, I can guarantee that if you do not have this one thing, your products, your services, and your financials, they do not matter. This is the one element in a business where whether you deal with whatever you deal in, whether it's sales, whether it's products, whether it's services, whether it's offerings, if you don't have this, you don't have a business, and that is sales. So let's consider, what does sales look like? What is it actually about? It's about connecting with your business. It's about prospects connecting with your business in various ways, and ultimately knowing, liking, and trusting you enough to basically part with their hard-earned dollars. So today we'll be focusing on telephone sales. And as mentioned, this is from my program, Telephone Etiquette and Sales Evolution, which is fondly known as TEAS. And it's basically a 10-module program. But for today, we've only got an hour. So I've literally picked the top 5 modules of that I'm going to touch on, we're going to delve into, and I'm going to leave you with some things to do. So as we're going through this program, I really encourage you to make notes, to really think about what these things look like in your business so that you can start creating your own dialogues, your own information, etc., that you're going to bring into your telephone sales. There will be time for Q&As afterwards. So those that are live on this call, if you've got questions, jot those down. For those that are not live, make sure you get on the next live one. But we're going to have those Q&As. So please write those questions down so that I can actually address that with you and give you the best return on your investment today of actually being here in this room. So let's jump straight into number 1. With this element in place, you have ultimately set yourself up for success. When it is not consciously applied, you'll find that you land up working a lot harder to build these relationships, and you basically have to work extra hard to close the deal as well. And what is this? This is your first impression. Now, when you consider your first impression, we all know the saying, you never get a second chance to make a great first impression. Okay, it's not a dress rehearsal, it's a one-time deal. So why do first impressions actually matter? Let's have a look and explore some of these. First impressions count. First impressions have the ability to make or to break a deal. We know that the first impression is created within 7 seconds. And what's interesting when we talk about telephone sales, I think because we've been so exposed to telephone sales, particularly over the last year and with the world changing as it has, is that first impression is actually formed a lot faster on the phone. When we have a positive experience, you are in a position to create long-lasting relationships, because ultimately we want those loyal, raving customers in our circle. That's who we want to actually be selling to and to have buying from us. And of course, you yourself represent your business. So with this in mind, the first impression that you give, it needs to be, I don't even want to say the word great, even though the word great is on the slide. You want that to be absolutely exceptional. So how do we go about this? There's 7 basic telephone skills. What are those telephone skills? And I want you to think about it for a moment. When you call a company, whether it's a big organization, whether it's a small organization, whether it's a service provider, what are the things that go through your mind when people actually answer that phone? What are the things that you love? What are the things that you think, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me? Now, when you think of those things, remember that you've got to be kidding me. You don't want to be that person, okay? So let's have a quick look at what some of these basic telephone skills are. You want to be enthusiastic. Why? People do business with people that are passionate about what they do. And if we're answering the phone going, this is Sally's Water, good day, all they're thinking is, I don't want to deal with this person. They're going to suck the life out of me before I've even done with this phone call. Okay, so we want to be enthusiastic. And the joy is, and it's funny, you get people say, oh, I hate my job. The truth is most people actually love what they do and they find joy in what they do. So it's how do we actually bring this to the fore? Be enthusiastic. People buy into people. We all know that. The second thing is to know your team. And I know with big organizations, this is a struggle because there's maybe, I don't know, 300 people working in the organization and they go, you know, who's in charge of sales? And you've got the person on the telephonist going, I don't know. You need to know who handles things in your business. So again, even in small businesses where many of you may have 2 or 3 roles within that business, know who handles sales, who handles marketing, who's handling PR, who's handling clients, who's handling quoting, who's handling problems, okay? So know your team so that you can be super efficient on that. Know your product. Nothing worse than phoning a company and you go, hi, can you please tell me all about X, Y, Z? And they go, oh, I'm not really sure. I'm sort of new in the business. No, you need to know your product, okay? How do you know your product? Get involved. Make sure that you know what's on your website. Because if someone says, oh, I saw something on your website, and you go, really? Is that on our website? Yes. So know your product, go through your website, go through your collateral, and the longer you obviously work in a business, the more you get to know what you're doing. We speak about general attitude. And it's funny, when I think of attitude, you may think of something different. But my attitude when I answer a phone is I'm here to help and I'm here to serve. So even if it's somebody that that may not necessarily do business with me, my attitude is always a can-do attitude. When you think of your business, again, you might think, oh, I'm just not in the mood for answering the phone. Have you ever felt like that? And you just think, I'm just having, like, not all days or Sundays. Today is the day I'm not in the mood. When I ran a sales team back in South Africa, I would literally say to my team, they were there obviously to do telephone sales. I would say to them, if you're having a bad telephone day, let me know so that we can redirect that call to somebody else. Because your attitude, the minute you pick up that phone, people pick up on that and they're either going to love you or they're going to hate you for that, okay? We speak about no ums and ahs. Oh, the dreaded filler words. Why do we not want to have these things? If you had to phone a business, and I'll use our business in Africa as the example and it was a hot air ballooning business. He said, oh, can you tell me all about what you do? And I went, so like we kind of like fly out in the Hartbeespoort Dam area, which is, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, 45, I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes. I'm actually not sure. You're just sitting there, you're going, I'm about to put my life in these people's hands, and she cannot string a sentence together. So we want to get rid of those ums, we want to get rid of those ahs, we want to get rid of the words like, so. These are words that they kind of jot in. How do we do that? And I know for anyone who's a Toastmaster is pretty good at this. You might be thinking, how do I get rid of the ums and ahs? Establish what gets you there first. It's because you're trying to think, you're trying to, you know, oh gosh, what do I stick in here? So get comfortable with what you're selling, and if necessary, slow down, because then you don't need to put those filler words in. And although they do happen naturally in conversation, you just want to be mindful that it's not littered with it, because it doesn't come across well. It doesn't give a great first impression. Okay, the next one is smile. So of course on Zoom, we all have to smile, because otherwise we look like we've got a resting face, which we don't want to have. But if you think about it, if you had to speak to somebody who was blind, could they hear if you were smiling or not? Because people can hear it. And again, we want people to feel that they're happy to speak to us on the phone, right? So we want to give that impression. So this is a bit extreme, but I'm just going to throw it out there just for fun. I've had a couple of staff who've worked for me who did not want to smile. And there were 2 things I did. I said, first of all, stand up when you take the call, and that gives you a whole boost of energy. And the second thing is put a mirror in your office or put a mirror in your space and actually look at yourself and say, would I want to be speaking to this person? You will smile. And I'm not saying keep the mirror there forever. Okay, I'm just saying in the beginning. On Zoom, we have not got an option. We've got to be smiley all the time. Do I still stand up when I take telephone calls? I've been in telephone sales for over 20 years. If I've got a day where I've got low energy, I will literally stand up as I answer that phone call. I will literally jump up and say, Sarah speaking, hi, or Sarah speaking, how can I help you? But I make sure that I actually get up, because again, my energy doesn't always sit at 100%, but it's not the client's problem if that's what's actually happening. Okay, so we've got those basic telephone skills. The first impressions, they do matter. And we can create that first impression with power instantly and make sure that that customer's literally sitting up going, bang, I'm in, I'm interested, I want to have this conversation. Right, we now move into the second element of tease. Consider your business for a moment. Do you have competitors? So you might be thinking, okay, what has this got to do with stuff? People have got a choice. So they've got a choice on whether they choose to deal with you or on whether they choose to deal with somebody else. Now, if we take away everything, take away all the fluff, take away all the pretty, take away all of that, what is the reason that people do business with you? People do business with people. And we're going to take this one step further. People do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. Okay, do you agree with that? We've got that 100%. Now, in terms of sales, your goal is to build those know, like, and trust. You could even call them know, love, and trust relationships as quickly and as authentically as possible to ensure that you've got them literally saying, hey, I want to do business here. So you want to connect with them in a way that promotes conversations. So again, you might be thinking conversations. I thought this was telephone sales. Telephone sales comes from something. Where we have meaningful conversations, that is where the magic happens, is in that meaningful conversation. Not very often will you answer the phone, give a sales spiel, and sell it straight away. There's conversations that happen. So we want to make sure that we actually set ourselves up for those conversations. We ultimately want to build rapport. Now, you want to be sure. You want to be really sure when somebody actually contacts your business that you are able to help that person. So I'll use myself as an example. If somebody called me and says, I need content for a website. There are a few things I need to establish. I need to establish, do they need a whole website or do they just need the content for the website? Why is this important? Because if they just need content, I can help them, not a problem. If they need a website, I can't do this. I'm not this girl. But what I can do is I can start thinking about who can I refer this to? Obviously, it would be a fresh member, right? But I start thinking about it so that I'm in touch with that client. I'm absolutely focused. How do we do this? We make sure that we ask questions that give us the answers that we want so that we can lead them on a journey, so that we can actually help them. So the very first thing I would ever ask any person when I get them on the phone, obviously once I've got their name, is this sentence. And I want you to write this sentence down. It sounds weird the first time, but just go with me. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can best assist you? I'm going to repeat that question. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can best assist you? Now, you may not speak like I do, and you may word it slightly differently. When I ask it in that exact way, and I've tried and tested a few different methods, when I ask those exact words, get this for a statistic, nobody has ever said the word no to me. Why? Because if you're calling me, if say Darren calls me and says, hey, Says, and I go, Darren, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can best assist you? Why would he say no? I want to help him. I'm saying to him, I need to just get some info so I can actually give you the very best of me. I can bring the best version of me to this phone call. So when you ask it in those exact words, they will say yes. Now, we want to do this as quickly as possible. We need to get the most relevant things into those questions to ensure that we've got information that can lead to. Do you remember I spoke just 2 minutes ago about the meaningful conversation? That's where we're trying to get them. Okay, so what are these questions? These are the 5 W's. This is how we go about building rapport with those people on the telephone. So let's explore those. You may have learned this in school and you're thinking, this is bringing back like years and years ago to the 5 W's in school, but we're going to go back there, okay? All right, so how do we build that rapport? And why do we build that rapport? We establish rapport using the 5 W's. These are the 5 W's, and I'm going to delve into each of these as we go. So the number one thing is it's vital to know who you are actually speaking to. Remember, most people, excuse me, most people do like the sound of their own name. It's a great way of getting them back into the conversation at any point if you feel that you can sometimes hear when someone's not quite with you. And you can say, great, so Darren, just coming back to that point, and he'll automatically come back into the conversation. What if they've got a really strange name? I always say, sorry, how do I pronounce that? Is it Chloe? No. Oh, Chloe. Okay, I've got that now. So get the name, and it's important to get that name, even if it's a complicated name, and you say, sorry, what was your name? They might say, oh, my friends call me Se for short. Oh, great, thanks, Se. Write that down, okay? The name is super, super important. So you would then say, great, thank you so much, Darren. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can best assist you? Of course, he goes, absolutely, no problem. Great, we then move into the questions. We now go into the what. So the what would basically be, what do they need your services for? So as an example, again, with the hot air balloon company, my question that I would ask is this for a special occasion? Now, this might seem like an irrelevant question, but work with me here. If somebody says to me, I'm getting engaged, I'm going to go into a very different sales dialogue than if they said to me, we're planning a corporate event for 140 people. That is 2 very separate clients. So for us, that was one of the most important questions. I also find when you ask this what question, people sometimes give you more information than you actually anticipate. They say, oh, it's actually for an engagement. Oh my gosh, I've been dating Susie for 5 years, and I'm finally going to put a ring on it and be so excited. And she's always dreamt of this. And I make notes of that because I'm going to bring that into the conversation a bit later. So you become a real proactive listener. But that what people will, what are you needing this for? I'm needing to have my offices cleaned because we had flood damage. They've actually given you information that you can use to your advantage. All right. We then look, so please excuse me for 1 second. Right. We then move into the when. So do you have a date in mind? And this is obviously important if your business has a timeline, if there's a process, if there's something that happens in there. So really think about these questions in your business because each business is so different. So if we take, for example, I'm trying to think like a swimming pool company, it's really important to establish, number one, what they're needing, because if they're needing a brand new pool versus a compliancy report, those are 2 very different things. If they want a new swimming pool by next week, the truth is that cannot happen. We still need to dig the hole and do all the magic stuff that happens there. So that timeline is an unreasonable timeline. A compliancy report that I need by the end of today, that person's already thinking, could I slip that in? Versus a compliancy report, oh, I only need that by Tuesday next week, means he can already start thinking, where would I actually stick this into my diary? So if you've got if you are timeline based, asking when is really important. When do you need the delivery? When are you looking at having the event? So really think about that when. We then look at where. So again, this is really important if location is important. So where we look at things like professional services, I know from what I've learned being in Australia is apparently when it comes to real estate and the selling of property, as an example, the laws in New South Wales are different to the laws in Melbourne. As an example, I may be slightly skewed on that, but I believe that there are different laws right across Australia. So, for example, if I say, oh, I want to deal with Catherine from the conveyances, it's really important she establishes where am I actually purchasing this property, because if I'm buying in Tasmania, she may not be the best conveyancer for me. So again, if location is not important, if you're a business coach, so somebody like me, I've got clients not just in Australia, all around the world. So for me, location is not an issue, but I do need to know where they are. Because if I'm dealing with a client in Africa, they are 9 hours. I mean, daylight savings, of course, comes into play to confuse me, but currently they are 9 hours behind us. So I would need to bear in mind, what do those conversations ultimately look like? And again, if you're in a product-based business, if you're doing swimming pools, again, it's probably cheaper to use somebody who's actually in Queensland as opposed to somebody who happens to maybe be in Western Australia, etc. So we want to get the where. We then talk about the why, which is other information. So that could be any other information that you need. You could be, a divorce lawyer. Why are you looking, why are you wanting to have that divorce? We need to get those details because there's many different ways to skin a cat, and you ultimately want to go around it the best way. So once you've got those 5 W's, you have pretty much got yourself set up for success into the next stage of this journey. So let's just have a look at this. Let's ask these questions. Okay, so I'm going to say if somebody is calling my business. So say they've rang and they've said, hi, I need a website. Can you help me? Certainly. May I ask who I'm speaking to? Bob. Great. Thank you, Bob. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? No worries, as they say in Australia. What are you specifically looking for? Are you needing content or content and a website? Oh, Sarah, I actually need both. And when are you wanting to start this process, Bob? As soon as possible. Fantastic. Out of curiosity, where are you based? Melbourne. Wonderful. And what type of business do you run? A recycling plant. Excellent. Okay, can you see how quick that was? That was probably 20 to 30 seconds. I've gone through those questions. It was quite conversational. If there were moments I felt I was losing him, that's when I used, sorry, Bob, where are you actually based? I just kind of brought him back in. What have I established here? I've established his name. I've established that he needs content, and I'm going, bingo, I can help him. I've also established he needs a brand new website. Remember earlier I said I'm not this girl, I don't build websites. I'm automatically thinking who in my network would be a person to be able to do this based on the next one, which was he wants it as soon as possible. Those clients who go, tomorrow's okay, but yesterday would be better. He's one of those, and I'm thinking, okay, how quickly can I push content out? I know what my timelines look like. The web person that I'm looking at, what sort of schedule are they looking at? We want to obviously serve this person as quickly as possible and to keep them as happy as possible so they become our fans. The fact that he's based in Melbourne for me would really make no difference whatsoever, but it has established that I would need to be mindful of the fact, is there daylight savings? No, there isn't for New South Wales and Melbourne. Great. But the second thing is most of my liaisons with Bob would happen either telephonically or via an online platform, perhaps such as Zoom. And because he's running a recycling plant, I'm automatically thinking, which other clients do I have in that same sort of category? So that when he asks me, have you done work like this before? I might say, oh, I haven't worked with recycling, but I have worked with a sustainability company. So I do have an idea of what you do. But of course, I'm wanting to learn, and I'm ready to learn, and I'm ready to take your product up to the next level, whatever the deal is. Okay, it's not difficult. So what do you need to do? You need to create your opening questions based on those 5 W's. So the first thing is make sure you've got their name and that you can actually say it. The second thing is, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can best assist you? And then just put 4 questions. So you've got the what, the when, the where, and if there's anything else that you specifically need in your business. Okay, now that you've actually asked these questions, I know this is going to sound like Captain Obvious for a moment. You need to write them down, okay? Because you don't want to go, sorry, Bob, what business did you say you were in again? Dude, you asked me if you can ask me questions, and now you're asking me more questions. Now you are making me annoyed and irritated and frustrated. So for me, every time, wherever you find me, my kids will still laugh at me, I've always got a pen and a notebook. And they go, why do you have it? So I say, because I don't know if somebody calls me when I'm at Woolies. And if they're asking me a question, I'll either say, hey, sorry, Taylor, I can't assist you right now. I'll give you a ring back. But if I'm actually going to say, hey, Taylor, I'm going to have a conversation with you. Imagine I phone her back half an hour later and say, sorry, sweetheart, where did you say you were based? Did you not ask me that half and like, are you bright or not bright, lady? Okay, this is what people think. I'm saying the things that people shouldn't actually say, but I'm saying it because it's real. So have that pen and paper handy so that you can actually make those notes. Like really care. It comes back to that attitude thing. Hold on a second, my screen, there we go. All right, so you want to create your 5 W's that are relevant to your business. Now, I know some of you that are on this live call are part of the same company. So there's a couple of things, and I just want to point this out to anyone else who logs into the recorded version. If you are a one-man show, a solopreneur, you get to pick the questions. Now, if you are in a business and you've got a team, and perhaps there's part of that is leadership, part of that is colleagues, part of that is team, work on this project together. Okay, it is fun. It's like team building, basically. But the fun thing about this is you often get great ideas from people who are fairly new in the business because they're thinking out of the box. So it doesn't always go back. This is not the boss's job to do. This is the team's job. So as a team, you can think of how do we word these questions. I had a relatively big team back in Africa. So what we did is we actually created a couple of different ones, and we actually tested, measured, and we managed where we got the best results. So we worked on it as a team, and we met about it as a team for about 3 or 4 weeks before we actually established the key questions. And some of them were from me, where people expected that to be because I was the leader. But the truth is some of those questions did not come from me. They came from staff within my team. So as a leader, you want to listen to what your team has to say because they do add value in that space. Okay, now that we've got these, we then move into the thing that really matters. We need to start creating a sales dialogue. You will note, I did not say a sales pitch. I did not say a sales anything. I said a sales dialogue. Quickly back to this. This is a meaningful conversation, and this is where the magic happens. Remember, I said that. This is where it happens, is in this sales dialogue. If you do not have a sales dialogue in place, you will lose the sale. I do not know how else to say it. That's as gently as I can put it. So take it from where it comes. If you do not have this in place, you're underwater already. If you do, your prospect realizes that you're in sync, you're in touch, and you're in tune with them. By having this sales dialogue, you are able to actually have these conversations. Now, you're probably thinking, what were those 5 W's? This is where we bring them in. So I've asked all the questions. I know I've got all the information I need. Now we're going to bring that into the actual conversation that we're going to have with them. So when we talk about a sales dialogue, it is about giving information that serves and assists them. What does it serve and assist them to do? It assists them in making a decision to use your business. This sales dialogue is not about them. It is not about you. It is about them. So it's about them. All right. They don't care. If you call me and say you want me to do content, you don't care that I've got a telephone etiquette course. It means nothing. It does not serve you. You are phoning me about something else. You want to keep this pretty short so people don't necessarily want to receive a whole thesis from you. We want to keep it as short and succinct as possible. We anticipate questions and we answer those questions in that dialogue. The great thing about doing this is where we had those 5 W's, so we're basing it on those 5 W's. And I'm going to use the example of the engaged couple in the hot air balloon. Remember, I shared that story with you just a little while ago. I know that when people get engaged, they want it to be special. They want it to be different. And as I'm getting that information, I'm already anticipating that everyone, because it happened time and time again, would say, you know, do we pay extra to have a private table for breakfast? Because we know we don't want to sit with everybody else. It's our moment. So in that sales dialogue, I would say, for example, I'd go through the whole thing and I'd say, we then take you back for a wonderful breakfast. And you've got 2 options. You can either sit with everybody who you've just flown with. Alternatively, I can set you a private table under the gazebo with a bottle of champagne. And you don't need to make that decision now. I'll set that table separately for you. and you can decide on the day. Because some people would say, oh, we want to be with the people who are with us in this moment. And then you do get the slightly more introverted people who'd say, oh, no, we like the idea of that private table. So by answering that question, as I've gone through that sales dialogue, they're thinking, sure, this lady's totally got it together. She's really in sync with me. So I've anticipated those questions and I've brought them in. Thank you to the 5 Ws. Remember, we want to include your USPs, which is your unique selling points. It is about sharing. It is not about selling. Because if I'm selling you, if I'm saying to you, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, come buy, you're going to be like, honestly and truly, I just want information. Generally speaking, when you share what's different, when you share your unique selling points, they buy into you. You don't need to do that big hard sale. Okay, that's like hard work. Do not, this is the last point, do not deposition your opposition. It is so easy to say, you know, that I happen to be the best content creator on earth, and there's a guy down the road called Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe's copywriting, and he is a real shark. Because then you think, oh, I didn't even know that Bobby Joe's copywriting existed. So now what do? Flip. I've just opened the door for you to look him up and go and get a price from him, because if Bobby Joe's in business, somebody likes him, right? So we never talk about the opposition. That phone call is about our business. If they say, do you know anybody else who does this? You might say, oh, there are a couple of other companies. So we're not depositioning them. I know there are a couple of other companies, but obviously from our side, we keep everything in-house. If someone said to me, oh, I've met this guy and I want him to do my website, even if I think he's a real shark and really lousy at websites, I wouldn't say don't use him. I'd say not a problem. Could I potentially introduce you to George, and he may be able to assist you as well. He's really good at what he does. So I haven't even depositioned somebody else who's come in as a subsidiary to my offering. Okay, don't deposition people. It's like, what do they say? It's like the negative Nancy. It's like nobody really wants to hear about that, okay? Remember, you want to showcase yourself. Now, in this exercise, I want you to really consider your sales dialogue and think, what are the products, what are the services, and what are the offerings that I have or that we have as a business? So get crystal clear. If you've got 6 products, get crystal clear on those products, on each and every one of those products. Think about the questions that you would ask, those 5 Ws or the 4 Ws, because obviously the name is the one. How do those relate to these things? So that you make sure you ask the right questions so that you can plug the right answers into that sales dialogue. It could be, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, you want it to be succinct, so you don't want to go on and on and on and on for days. You want it to be succinct, and you want to make sure that you actually get to the point. So what you offer, how you offer it, how you handle the customers you have, keep it short, keep it sharp. What are the current processes? And have that together. So your sales dialogue, really, really important. And remember, in that sales dialogue, you could ask questions. So it's not just about like vomiting it all out on them. You could say, you know, you mentioned that you are in Melbourne, and out of curiosity, which area are you in? Oh, you're in that area. Okay, lovely. We've actually got a sales rep who's based in that area. So I'm going to ask them to reach out and to engage with you. All right, so you make it conversational. Are we ready to move into step number 4? Just give me a thumbs up for those that I've got on the screen. You don't know who's on the screen. So if all of you are ready, you all need to give me a thumbs up. We're good. Okay, fantastic. Good to go. Right, we've done all the work. And then what happens? They start saying, wait, I'm objecting. Don't you hate this? You've done all the work. You've done such a beautiful job. And then they start telling you all the reasons why not. I call these resistors, okay? We all get them. Here's the deal. If you are not ready to handle the resistors, they're gone. You've lost the deal, okay? People, there was that song, okay, I'm about to give away my age here. Is this really being recorded? Jason Donovan did a song years and years ago. Give me one good reason to leave and I'll give you 10 good reasons to stay. Okay, he really nailed the resistors there. And he was, I mean, he was a poster boy, so we're just gonna go with that. But here's the thing, you've got to be prepared. If you know how to handle those resistors, you've got a very, very high chance of securing the deal. And I've seen it even in my own business, even in this business that I'm in at the moment, people will sometimes tell me the 10 reasons why they can't. But for every 10 reasons they give me, I've got 3 or 4 reasons why they should. So for each of those points, I've got 3 reasons why they should. I'm prepared, okay? So the questions that we ask are this. What is stopping them from buying from you? So the yellow bit here is identify the resistors. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, we prepare for a positive outcome. So think about it for a second. What stops people from buying your product, your service, and your offering? And I want you to think about that for a moment. So I've listed some of these, and there may be more. These are just the most common ones that tend to come up. So it could be budget. It could be the time of the year. It could be their location. They could be on a deadline. It could be something that is not what you necessarily offer. It could be guarantees. It could be insurance. Now, when I look at those things around my business, and I'll share these with you because it puts it into perspective and how I see it, and you may not even think of these things, is when someone says to me, I don't have the budget to do a workshop. I don't have the budget to do a full day workshop on teas, as an example. I understand that because apparently money doesn't grow on trees. I would have a couple of options. That first option would probably be a fairly hardish sell, which would be, do you have the budget to lose sales? Most companies don't, because most people actually know that they need this thing, right? But that, of course, is not the most positive way to approach it. So my first point of call would be, let's have a look and see if we could do a payment plan. Now, who's going to say no to a payment plan? And they go, oh, well, we can't pay it over 3 months. I go, that's okay. We could do it over maybe 4 months. Would that be better for you? So I'm giving them options. The time of the year, I made the fatal mistake. Welcome to Australia. I was going to run a workshop in January. I didn't realize that the whole of Australia shuts down until after Australia Day. So I was literally trying to plug this workshop, and everyone was going, Sarah, we're still finishing Christmas. We're starting the new year. We're on holiday, but we can talk after the 26th of April. So I went, okay. I've now learned that that is not a good time of year to do anything except for go on a vacation, right? But time of year for me is important because if I'm targeting accountants, I need to be mindful that certain times of the year are not good for them to attend anything because they're busy with tax returns and the like. Location. Okay, for me, location is not a problem. I'm on Zoom. What do I do if someone says we want live training in Melbourne? Okay, even though I don't know where Melbourne is, just joking. What do I say? Not a problem. I am happy to jump on an aeroplane to come through to Melbourne. I do need a minimum of X number of delegates, but we can make it work. I literally look for the answers. A deadline, we need this training by tomorrow. No problem, I can train you between 2 and 4 in the morning. What time shall we start? Or, okay, we're on a tight line here, 5 things to just kind of get you going and get through the next day. Not my area of expertise. I'm not the school. I don't build websites, but I can refer, or I could say, I actually don't know what to do with that. It's okay to say, hey, I can't. Guarantees. Do I offer guarantees? Perhaps I do. I would then share that with them. Do I have insurance? I don't know. Insurance for my crazy sense of humor where my head goes. I can't insure that. But if you're in a business that has insurance, it's really important to mention. In fact, thinking of insurance, just off the cuff, I had a client who is a friend, and they had a limousine driver who came to pick up the bride for the wedding. And he drove over his brand new grass, over his brand new curb, and basically destroyed everything that the poor man had prepared for this wedding. And of course, he almost had a full-blown heart attack. He went back to them and said, you guys need to pay for this because it was grass, it was curbing, it was all the stuff that goes with it. The guy went, oh, I'm really sorry, mate, I don't have insurance. And he went, what? What do you mean? You drive a limo company and you don't have insurance? Went, yeah, no, it's too expensive. Was my daughter insured while she was in your car? Oh yeah, for an accident I was insured. So again, if you've got insurance, it's probably a good thing to mention as well. If you're in an industry where it really counts. Of course, Joe's response to that was, damn, I should have asked the question. So yeah, sometimes you need to actually ask that question. Okay, so now that you know what those resistors are, we've identified them, we need to start looking at how do we get around those. And you might say, but Sarah, I don't have an option. Like, this is the way it is. That's okay. That means that that client is possibly not your ideal client, and that's all right. Remember, we don't get to we don't get to dance with every boy at the ball. So if every person who phoned your business did business with you, you would probably be too busy. So sometimes it's okay to say, we're not a good match, or I'm not a good match for you. That's okay. Okay. So long as your attitude and your serving behind that has been there, you're okay. Right. The work here is not done. Okay. We now need to actually set you up for success. Oh, on that, sorry, this is just a slide I missed out. Ask yourself, is there a solution? Identify these and create your answers. Be prepared. There are no excuses for surprises. You might suddenly think, oh my gosh, I've just been asked something that I've never been asked before. So that's okay. Prepare an answer so the next time you ask that, you've got a nice succinct answer for them. Okay, goody goods. Are we good to go on to the next one? We know what our resistors are. You've got your lists. You're going to start working on those nice and easy. Again, the nice thing about this as a team, for those of you who are part of teams, is do this as part of your group discussions, because different people, again, have different views, different ideas, and you put all of that into the box, you get some real magic that come out of the resistors. You also might find someone goes, oh, I tried this and it worked. And everyone goes, oh, I didn't think of that. So again, do it as a team effort. It's really, really powerful. Okay, now's for the big one. We've done all the hard work. This is the big one, and I know for many people, this is the hard part. You need to ask for the order. We need to close the deal. Here is a little piece of advice. If you do not ask, they will not buy. Okay? If I don't say to you, I'd like to take it, like Darren, let's use this as an example. If Darren had says, I really want you to run a webinar on telephone etiquette, and I said, oh, that's a great idea, there's a whole heap of crickets. Darren actually needed to say to me, can we firm up a date for that? And then I go, absolutely, let's firm up a date. Let's get out our diaries. Let's get cracking. Boom, and here we are on the 31st of March. So you've got to ask for this order. And I know it can feel so overwhelming, okay? How do we ask the question? How do we ask for the order? Nice and simple. Can I go ahead and da-da for you, whatever for you? So that could be, can I go ahead and do a quote for you? Can I go ahead and make a booking for you? Can I go ahead and send somebody through to come and do an on-site quote? So know what you're actually asking for. So for me, it would be, can we go ahead and set up a session where we discuss your content? Or can I go ahead and set up a date for your workshop at your office? Okay, here's the deal. There's two answers only. It's either yes or no. What do we do on each of those? If it's a yes, you go ahead and you actually do that order. So you want to be super, super efficient on that. Not okay. Remember, we go back to that first impression. They go, yes, I'd love to buy $1 million, whatever you're selling. You go, oh, okay, but hold on. Gosh, oh my golly, oh my gosh, I don't even know who to refer you to. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what this product does. Oh my golly, where's my pen? Okay, they've just placed the order. You just absolutely cool, calm, and collected, whether it's big, whether it's small, we on it, okay? So you want to be super, super efficient and handle that. Okay, what happens if they say no? Do not give up. Those who are in sales are with me here, where they're going, absolutely, like you just like go to the nth degree. Those who are not in sales go, oh, well, they didn't want to buy from me, so it's all over. No, 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 don't give up so easily. You can still save this deal, okay? Remember that just because they're not saying yes now, doesn't mean that they're saying no forever. Not everybody needs what you're selling right now. And I'm going to even use Fresh as an example. Sorry, Darren, I'm going to use Fresh networking as an example. When I was first introduced to Fresh, I was like, holy moly, got to have a piece of this. Absolutely love it. Where's the form? What, you need to do an interview? Can we do that interview now? I want to sign up. Here's my credit card. I was that person. I was that person. But I also know, having been in Fresh, there are some people who say, I need to think about it. And they're not saying no. They're just saying no now. So that no does turn into a yes. And I've had guests who've taken 6 months to join. Why did they take 6 months? Because 6 months ago, they didn't have the time, they didn't have the budget, and their business was focused on something else, and Fresh networking wasn't it. Then they join and they go, oh, I'm now ready. Those are the people we want. Remember, if you've got a dance card, you want to dance with the right boy at the right time, okay? Not everybody's buying today. So it's okay when they say no. So you can still save the deal. You can also ask them, out of curiosity, why is now not a good time? Get it. They may call a resistor out. You may have a solution for that resistor. So everything we've done today comes together. Even though they sit as separate entities, they all marry up, they all merge, and they all come together. So again, if they've got a resistor, say, if I had to offer you X, would that help? No, I'm still not ready. Not a problem. Right, we've got to remember to thank them. So now you think, now I'm thanking them for not buying from me. What is going on here? This is no fun. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Pity I cannot help you at this stage, but I am looking forward to hearing from you in the future. Now, if I just said, well, listen, you completely wasted my time and I'm really annoyed with you, what are they going to say? You're going to have Taylor sitting there going, I am not going to phone that lady again because she's going to shout at me. She wasn't kind. She wasn't nice. She didn't have a can-do attitude. And I'm going to go back to, remember Bobby Joe I spoke about down the road, who also does what I do? I'm going to try him because he sounds like he's more fun. So we thank people for what they are doing. So we thank people for reaching out and actually engaging with us. They might say, look, I'm not ready to buy right now, but could you send me more information? Yes. The answer is yes. Can I please get your email address? Little bonus here, that email address, by the way, goes straight into our database because, of course, we are all doing database marketing, aren't we? Yes, please all nod your heads. Okay, so again, you've got their email address. And here's the real deal. That information gets sent right away. One of the best customer service agents I'd ever met was in the travel industry back in South Africa. And we did a lot of travel bookings with him. And I would literally phone and go, my brother was in Australia at the time, I was in South Africa. And I'd say, listen, I believe there's a Qantas deal. There's always a Qantas deal. There's a Qantas deal. And I'm dying to go and see my brother. And I could literally hear him clicking on the keys. And he'd say, right, let's have a look. What date are you looking at? Tick, 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 tick. It's okay, we've got a flight there. We've got a flight there. There are 3 options. We can send you via Melbourne, Timbuktu. Do you want to go direct to Sydney, Sydney to Cairns? I was like, I don't know. Quickest flight, cheapest flight, tick, 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 tick. And then we'd have it's kind of a little conversation at the end, say, lovely to chat to you again. How's the kids? How's your parents? Wonderful. I'll get that quote through to you. And I knew what he was doing. He was already hitting the send button. By the time I put that phone down, Wilco's email was in my inbox. That is amazing because you know what? I thought, oh, to now go phone another travel agent, it's like such hard work. So I'm just going to book it because it's all there. He's done the research. I'm happy with that. So have that collateral ready to go. Remember, if they haven't purchased, there are other things you can do. So there's things like follow-ups. There's things like where you look at conversions, you look at measure, manage, and innovate, that type of thing. And I do, those are things you can go into in more depth. Right now, for this purpose, I wanted to get you to this point. So where are we here? If they've purchased, just some notes there for you. If they've purchased, reassure them that they've made a good decision. This is another really nice, I find with this thing, by the way, I'm just going to throw this in, is often when I reassure people, they bring friends. So I find that a lot with this kind of training where I'd say, for example, hey, Sue, thank you so much for booking the telephone etiquette course. Really excited to have you, really looking forward to it, and you've made a great investment. Often that person will say, oh, do you by any chance have any other spaces available? Absolutely. I'm actually going to send my friend Angela to you. So often by thanking and reassuring people, they actually kind of get more people on the bus, so to speak. So it's quite an interesting, I don't know why it happens. I guess it's birds of a feather flock together, perhaps. I don't know. But for me, that's been my experience. If they choose not to buy, we thank them. Either way, we send them info immediately and we make sure that that collateral is ready, prepared, easy to go. Okay. There are follow-ups. You do need to look at conversions in this process. So remember a little earlier, I said you can do this as a team. So you might have the A team and the B team to see what works and what doesn't work, and then put those ideas together so you get a real win all the way around. What does the summary look like? We have looked at first impressions. We've looked at basic telephone skills. We've looked at how to build rapport by using the 5 Ws so that we can actually get those questions, which we then bring into the sales dialogue, because remember, this is where the magic happens. We've looked at resistors because these are real things and these happen every day in our businesses. What do those resistors look like? We've identified them, we know what they are, and we're looking for a positive outcome. So go back to that. And then please do not be afraid to actually ask for that order, to actually close the deal. That's the one. You can be the best salesperson on earth, but if you don't ask for the sale, it's not going to happen. All right. As mentioned, there is so much more to telephone etiquette and sales evolution, and I obviously wish I had more time because it's something I'm passionate about. I love the fact that this can have such a huge impact in people's businesses. I've honestly seen such magic happen in this space. So for the purpose of this webinar, I know that we are going to be logging off officially, but for those who are live with us, stay online because we're going to have those Q&As. For those who have not joined the webinar live, absolutely awesome having you join us, even though it wasn't live. Next time, jump onto the live webinars because, of course, you get the advantage of the live Q&A, which I'm going to go on to with those who are in this call. So if you are watching the recorded version, enjoy the doing, enjoy the results, and I'm looking forward to hopefully engaging with you in the future. From there, we will now jump straight into Q&As. So